Hi, I've just uploaded a few old videos and I won't go on too much about them, but I'm pretty excited when I see one of them. I actually made on my daughter's birthday, which is today, I think 7 years ago, and on that one it was predicting the fake assassination of Donald. I want to start off by this. I hope you'll all remember those boats. Hope and Mercy that came into the, that were in, I think, New York, I'm not too sure where it was, that were very prominent at the beginning of the so-called pandemic. And keep in mind that what is behind all of this, the movement whose name we cannot mention, is about saving the children. And I just wanted to show you a fantastic video that I found on Rumble, which connects all the pieces from that Revelation 12 Virgin in Heaven sign, which was on September the 23rd, 2017. And because this video that they've got here shows all the dates back then, which really started in 2017, and with all the places Trump visited, and had the Queen, the Saudi princes, Netanyahu, all these people submitted to him, because he had evidence on them. And so this is what is, we've been watching this operation. So I won't do much of this video, but just enough to tell you about it and for you to know that this stuff is real. And if you have a look at my video, one of my videos, this one here, just quickly show you, which has so many views. Last time I looked, what was it? 9,500. So this is Queenstown. Okay, but it starts off with this picture of John Podesta, who was in New Zealand for the, why isn't that in focus? Okay, go back to it. Okay, so there's John Podesta. I had to just do this at night time because the woman in the gallery wouldn't let me back in. So here you've got all these disgusting great big toys. Beautiful city. So this is where I'll turn off this is where in New Zealand where the tunnels are. They've got everything in your face. So you can go and look at that video. And it's all about harvesting stuff that out of children's terrified blood, and that's what keeps the people young in Hollywood and Satanists alive. Hope I shouldn't have used that word. So I'll just take you now to this incredible video that I've had. For me personally, this just explains so much. And there are videos coming out now of women who have gone through this, and I owe them such a debt of gratitude because I too was in a situation that was going to happen. The whole thing is that people don't understand how you actually separate your mind when you have been tortured. When things like this have happened, you find mechanisms of coping with it, and people won't understand. And there are just so many people that have gone through this that they can never ever have a normal life. For myself, I just managed to pick up so much on the video. I will leave the links. The video of Fiona, the Australian woman, and there's a woman called Teresa, and a young woman called Teresa who had her first baby at 11 years of age. Just horrendous what they've been through. But the Australian woman, it was amazing for me because even though I have had situations when, through prayer, I was able to come to the knowledge that certain things had happened to me. Still after that, I I blocked it out. I blocked it out, and this is how how they program you. But the scars are always there. From my point, I never ever grew up, and people don't understand what it's like, when people want to be friends, with somebody who's been through something like that. I had a girlfriend who used to joke that she loved getting people around to meet me just so that she could watch their reaction to me. Well, she thought that was funny, but of course it was very painful for me, because that was the story of my life, and how I always felt so incredibly unable to have personal intimate relationships. I'm able to be like mother or child, and that's it. I cannot just be one-to-one. And so while I was older than my friends, it worked. But when my friends grew up and needed a one-to-one relationship, I just was unable to deal with that, because my mind has been stuck in this, what happened when I was that old. And it's only through other situations where God will actually take you to that place of brokenness, that the key can be opened, and that you can remember a little bit and let the tears out. So people who, with my case, I'm just amazed as I watch the story of, I think, Fiona Barnett from Australia. And it was only, when I'm listening to her story, and she's describing the church, she's describing the things in the church that she remembers, and she's going to the church, and then all of a sudden, I remember, she points out the thing, as a child would, the things that make most impression on you. It was like this eagle in the church, and exactly the same thing in my story that I've written. I've described the church, what goes on, what I can see in the church, and how I could tell that the difference between the churches, but I didn't, I couldn't remember anything else. It was just these symbols, and it's the same symbols with her. And she has the same situation with her friends who can't understand, how blunt she is, and how, her good friends know, but of course nobody else knows how to deal with, her bluntness and that kind of thing. So anyway, that long story short, just remember, know that this is all very, very real, and this is what is behind it, and this is why so many people have lost their lives. It's very serious, and New Zealand is a CIA, probably shouldn't have said that word either, hotspot for all this stuff. So I'll just play a bit of this.
It's much deeper than that. I can know everything. Black hats use blackmail, and white hats use whitemail, where the latter uses information to force people into wrongdoing. The former uses information to give the chance of right doing. So what if I told you Donald Trump is still Commander-in-Chief? I can hear loads of people thinking, of course he is. The election was rigged. You are correct, but it goes much deeper than that. I can also hear a crowd of you thinking, well, no, he's not president. And if he is, explain everything. Explain Biden's presidency. Explain the vaccine. Explain why this is happening. There is a big difference between president and commander-in-chief. This film is for believers, and primarily for the doubters. The information to be presented can be verified via military executive orders and laws. That means this film isn't purely theoretical. Its majority is based in fact. It's based upon documentation that derives from .gov and .mil websites. This allows viewers to continue their research after the seeds of this film have been planted. Don't just blindly believe what is to be shown here. Let it guide you. By doing your own research, you will earn the reward of understanding, and will be better able to explain this to your peers. And the hope you had forgotten will return in greater strength than ever before. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. By the end, you will realize why they say this is the greatest show on earth. fully understand crime, and a setup for the deep state to roll out a massive depopulation agenda was further established. One that would have carried on had Hillary won the 2016 election. The Georgia Guidestones had been set in stone for this Freemason agenda, but over the last 7 years the agenda had been destroyed. Hillary was meant to win. At least the deep state had rigged the election so she would. But they didn't realize how much rigging they'd need to do. Because Trump became so popular, they lost. The corrupt DC establishment had lost touch with reality. And figured because they had the media in their pocket, they truly thought they would win. Despite the lawsuit with Fox News, Dominion has a proven track record of voter fraud.
Okay, better not watch too much of that. I will just see where we are here and finish off with that.
This arrest or detainment of Al-Walid. What does this mean for, let's tackle Al-Walid first. He's being detained, we're not exactly sure where, but what does this exactly mean for him and Kingdom Goldie?
23 days later, one side of the pyramid fell completely when Saudi Prince Al-Walid was arrested by Mohammed bin Salman. This happened just 3 weeks after the Las Vegas massacre. Prince Al-Walid owns the top floors of the Mandalay Bay. Intel points to Trump being in Vegas that night, and a few weeks later, the Saudi government gets overthrown. Now the capitulation tour would continue as Trump made his way to Asia for a 13-day, 5-nation tour. Japan, November 4th, 2017. The effect of Trump's visit had the Japanese emperor removed. This was the first in Japanese history. Just 1 month after Trump's visit, the Japanese cabinet finalized their decision and suggested that April 2019 would be a good date for Japanese Emperor Akihito's official abdication.
A sacred ceremony to mark the transition to a new era for the world's oldest continuous monarchy. With 2 of the 3 mysterious imperial regalia, a sword and a jewel, the emperor gave his final speech.
Emperor Akihito was abdicated due to failure of his duties as emperor. And the symbolism of Japan's submission was when they allowed Trump to become the first ever U.S. president to hand out the sumo champion trophy. Alas, another old house family removed from control. South and North Korea, November 7th, 2017. Trump left Japan and flew to South Korea. Just weeks prior to arrival, the nuclear research mountain in North Korea collapsed, killing their nuclear scientist.
During the latest test in September 2017, a bomb believed to have an explosive yield of 100 kilotons set off a powerful explosion. It caused an initial 6.3 magnitude tremor and triggered several more earthquakes in the weeks that followed.
Was this to remove the nuclear threat? Was it to intimidate Kim Jong-un? Could it have been both? What Trump said in his speech to the South Korean Assembly pairs well with what happened in North Korea just weeks prior.
This is a very different administration than the United States has had in the past. Today I hope I speak not only for our countries, but for all civilized nations. When I say to the North, do not underestimate us and do not try us. I also have come here to this peninsula to deliver a message directly to the leader of the North Korean dictatorship. The weapons you are acquiring are not making you safer. They are putting your regime in grave danger. Every step you take down this dark path increases the peril you face.
It would be only 18 months later that Trump would become the first U.S. president to cross the border into North Korea.
Of one of the most militarized borders on Earth. And historic handshake.
Good to see you again. I've never expected to meet you at this place.
A US president, a North Korean leader, and an extraordinary invitation.
You're the first US president to cross this line.
And Donald Trump didn't disappoint. Not just stepping, but positively striding into history books, the first sitting American president to meet a leader in the North.
China, November 8th to 10th, 2017. Trump then flies to China at the invitation of Chinese President Xi Jinping to meet and dine in the Forbidden City. Trump became the first foreign leader to ever dine in the Forbidden City since the founding of modern China. This is a massive act of submission. Remember, Xi Jinping had already visited Trump at Mar-a-Lago for a few days in spring 2017. It's evident China wanted to rid itself of the deep state as well. Two days later, on November 12th, 2017, Trump visits Vietnam. Trump then heads to Vietnam to get Southeast Asian leaders to submit, including Singapore and the Philippines. Trump is placed in the honor position to the right of the Vietnam leader as proof of submission. At the core of it all, it's about stopping trafficking. Philippines submit. On the Council of Foreign Relations website, Joshua Kurlancic writes on Trump and Philippines president having a bromance. He points to Trump making human rights a low priority in Southeast Asia. Joshua writes, the Philippine president seems to appreciate a U.S. leader who has made human rights a low priority in Southeast Asia and who thus has mostly ignored any criticism of Duterte's undermining of the rule of law. Indeed, the Trump administration has downplayed human rights in all aspects of U.S. foreign policy, including bilateral meetings with foreign leaders and funding for rights and democracy programs within the U.S. government, among other areas. Trump extended his stay to attend another summit, and this marked the end of the Asia tour. And with no coincidence, the Trump administration executive orders, particularly on human rights violations, appear just 1 month later. Donald John Trump would declare a national emergency with respect to serious human rights abuse and corruption around the world. Before we explore Executive Order 13818, it's best to take a minute to understand what an executive order actually.
Okay, so I'm just going to leave it at that, and hope you look it up. If you start watching it, you'll watch it to the end because it's really, really good, and the music's great. And yeah, I don't think I've seen anything anywhere near as good as this, and something that really shows that this was the birth. This was the birth that whole movement, because the first posting on 4chan was in November, just a few weeks after the actual sign in the heavens, the Revelation 13 sign. So I hope you watch it, I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope you're well. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.